But the cameras will be pointing this way. That's right.
So the room like this,
There is a room.
is our room, but
Oh,
unfortunately, yeah.
okay. So,
Oh, maybe that is happening. I think something like technician. Yeah, sure.
the images need to be focused on the back. The camera. So it's kind of the yeah, or the bottom. There's another.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
Back here? What are we looking at? Something
I think further. I think more like here.
Bring it there.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Oh, see. Want me to put it on the desktop?
Yes.
After that, then you can delete.
Yeah. Is that if I were to use the slideshows, that slideshow being seen by the other students who are
Streaming online? Yes.
streaming?
Right now, it's going online.
Okay.
Don't worry, but this way or this way.
The camera.
Oh, where's the camera? Oh,
Up there.
Can we see them? We can't see them.
No, you can't see them. It's streaming on YouTube.
Oh, I see, I see. So they won't, there's no interaction.
Yes, only the students here.
Okay, but not with the ones there.
No.
They'll only be just viewing, spectators. Okay. No worries.
So you
Do I stand or sit or?
Well, it depends on what you want to do. We only have three, maybe we should sit. We'll give a little bit more time.
Yes. Thank you.
It's all on.
John, would you like to start?
Are we gonna start now?
No, I mean when we start.
No.
eh, I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not fussed. The less I talk, the better. Hello. We'll just wait for the others, just in case somebody else wants to come. It's 5 minutes already. So. Have you been to one of these before? For other firms? No.
No.
So you don't know how many people we should expect.
Oh. Still Sunday. Right. I came straight from town, that's why. Just felt like it today.
Huh?
Make it. Well done, it's that the usual menu. Why are they taking that? Yeah. But she's not. He needs to finish his assignment. What else is here? Ma.
How long should we wait? Should we wait at all, or is this going to be it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's outside.
Anyways, it's outside.
All right.
If you don't see.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today, and welcome also to the students in the region. It's been live streamed, so thank you. Today we have Monolays with us. We have John Apted as partner from Monolays, and also Lily here Monolese who will be presenting. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. Bulabinaka, namaste. Talofalava malolele, Maori. Hello, Olgeta. And greetings to you all, both here in Suva and also to the other students in the region. I'd like to welcome you to this USP Lunch Hour Career Talk session. My name is Lily Guyasawa, and I am a solicitor with the firm of Manolese, more specifically, a public issues lawyer with Manolese. I am tasked to talk about my experience having joined the legal profession, and also, to give you some tips or some pros on why should you study law. I'm going to start off by, just giving you a brief on how I started. I've been practicing now for, I think, close to 8 years, which is, not much in comparison to some of the senior lawyers whom I work with. So I'm relatively green. So don't worry, we're probably all in the same boat, still learning as we go along. I, did not embark on studying law in the first place. I actually wanted to be a herbalist. My mother was a beautician, and she dabbled in a lot of cosmetics, a lot of herbal products. So my interest actually started there because, being a science student. But somehow I got involved in, working with a law firm as my very first job. And that was Howard's Lawyers. And from there, I built an interest. My interest actually grew a lot more after the first, second, third year of working there in a clerical administrative position. I then went on to study law in Vanuatu. I, in fact, did my whole law degree there. So I also speak a bit of Bislama. So shout out to all my Ni Vanuatuan students who are there in Port Vila. I then graduated in 2009, got admitted to the bar after doing PDLP, and joined a human rights organization called the Fiji Women's Crisis Center. I spent almost 5 years there before I moved on to private practice, which is now with Manolese Lawyers. So as you can see, the whole transition from studying law to going into another field, which is not really directly related to law, but involves a lot of advocacy and activism, you can see how versatile your law degree can be if you don't actually choose to practice law or to go, to do litigation or courtroom work. My perspective on the legal profession, or my experience, is that, choosing a career to be a lawyer is, a quite extraordinary calling. When you think about the opportunities that could become available to you once you get this qualification. But of course, with it comes great responsibility, great prestige as well, a lot of time commitment, and also a lot of financial investment in terms of what you're going to invest in your tuition, your textbooks, traveling if you have to travel to Vanuatu, conferences and all of these kinds of things. So it's good that, it's great that we're having this career session, because, you need to know exactly what you're getting yourself into, but also, why is it important, or how valuable can this qualification be for you? So first of all, and I wonder where I need to click the slide. I think I need to be over that side, or if you can just pass the mouse. Thank you. So why study law? So first of all, to work with and advise people who need help. And I think that, being a lawyer, you're in a quite a unique position to provide advice, but to help people with their legal problems, not just people, but also organizations, businesses, individuals, companies, government as well, with this advice. You are also in a unique position to not just do commercial work or human rights work or employment, but you're also in that position, like myself, to do public interest work. I'm not sure what's wrong with the slide, but it's moving ahead without me even touching it. It's probably someone from Vanuatu playing around with the computer. But anyways, that's all of us there up on the slide, if you can see that. So in terms of the work that I do at Manrolis, I practice in the area of public interest law, which is quite a unique platform in comparison to some of the work that majority of the work that we do in a private practice, which is largely commercial litigation, personal injury claims, and so forth. In terms of public interest law, my work largely focuses on human rights. It focuses on gender justice, violence against women, also on, medical negligence as well. We look at police behavior, law enforcement, and the whole point of it is trying to pick up litigation of matters that further a cause. If we're trying to make a policy change or make some sort of positive change to a policy or law, these are the kinds of matters that I will often undertake. We do a lot of pro bono work as well, not just myself as a public interest lawyer, but also my colleagues as well. We often provide free legal services for those who might not be able to afford it, low income earners, families, survivors of domestic violence, that sort of thing. The opportunities to work in other areas is quite diverse as well with a law degree. Just because you have a law degree doesn't mean that you can't find yourself doing academia or being a mediator or being an author of a book. There's a lot of other areas that you can actually practice in or use your law degree in, apart from just litigation and being a solicitor in a law firm. There's also the high chance of getting good perks. As you know, the law profession is one that gives good financial rewards. Of course, that's not for everyone. Not all lawyers make the big bucks. It largely depends on, your level of experience, depends on the size of the law firm that you work for, but also a large part of it is, the speciality, expertise, whether your speciality is in demand, and I think that's something that we're constantly challenged with, is trying to be unique in the legal profession, because there's such a huge influx of, law students graduating every year. It's just trying to fit in, seeing what your niche is, and whether there is a market for it also. We're constantly challenged with technology. There's a lot of virtual lawyers around now. To draft a contract or get an agreement done, all you have to do is download it off the internet. So there's all of these challenges that you'll be faced with, and it's, trying to see how unique you are, whether you'll be, say, extinct within the next 20 or 30 years, hopefully not, or you'll still be in existence. And so I think that's something that you need to bear in mind. There's also, being in the legal profession comes with, it's being in a hallmark of prestige. You've you've joined this elite circle of professionals. And, I think that with that, you're able to effect some kind of societal change. You're not only just mixing with your peers, you are rubbing shoulders with, business leaders or leaders of nations, politicians. You tend to also have clients who are high profile clients who might one day be, quite a famous person in sports, or, rubbing shoulders with celebrities, and you're also in the habit of interpreting law, applying law. So therefore you are not just, assisting with lawmaking, but you're also, involved in policy making as well. So you have that very unique position where you could go on to become a government official or politician or the leader of, a country or organization. I think, one of the things that we need to also bear in mind is, it's an opportunity to help others. Apart from that, you are seen as problem solvers. You have to think critically. I'm challenged every single day to think critically, to try and sharpen my analytical skills. Being a part of this profession is probably one of the most intellectually rewarding jobs on the planet. You're continuously trying to analyze laws, situations, policies. You have that opportunity to, patent a trade secret, or do a huge $1 million merger, or, strategize in terms of, a trial or something like that. So you're continuously challenged. And I see that not just as a challenge, but also as a perk, because you're always having to think analytically. And I think your success is really dependent on how, analytical you are, but also is crucial. Your intellect is crucial to your success as well. Okay. Also, transferring your skills, you're able to transfer your skills, not just in terms of analyzing laws and policies, but also doing consultancies, management, legal writing, mediation, and all of that. At Monroe Lee's, we don't just do court work. We don't just go to court. Some of us never go. I'm part of the litigation team, so, possibly every second day I'm in court. But my colleagues on the other side in commercial, some of them don't even see the courtroom. But they are just as busy as we are, writing contracts, putting together purchase agreements, involved in conveyancing. You can also work in-house as an in-house lawyer, analyzing legislation, you working in legal aid commissions, like the Legal Aid Commission here in Suva, or legal aid centers, and also, prosecuting. You can also be a state prosecutor, so, and resolving disputes. One day you might find yourself on the bench being a judge or a magistrate. So the possibilities are endless. I'm not sure what happened to our slideshow. It's disappeared. It kind of went ahead, but I wanted to also show you just a few snapshots of the firm. Monroe Lee's, and John might be able to shed some light on this in terms of the history behind Monroe Lee's.
I'm old, but I'm not.
Monroe Lee's has actually been, I think we can trace our origins back to the late 19th century, before pre-deed of cession. In fact, it was Charles Joseph Garrick who was the Attorney General during Bakumbao's time. So we are dating back. This Charles Garrick was actually the first legal practitioner in Fiji. He had his law firm set up in Levuka. And we probably all know that Levuka used to be the old capital of Fiji. And he went into partnership with a few people. One of them was, I think, Samuel Alice, who then moved the practice to Suva. Samuel Alice then was joined by Sir Robert Munro, and that's where the Munro name comes from. So Munro-Lees actually is, its history dates back to before the deed of cession, which was in 1874, sorry. And I think after Munro-Lees, Sir Robert Munro passed away, I think the law firm kept the name Munro-Lees. We have quite a large staff. It's actually Fiji's biggest law firm. Altogether 20 lawyers and 36 support staff. Out of the 20 lawyers, I think there's 12 of whom are female lawyers. So way to go for, gender equality. And I think in terms of the overall number, there's 95% are women. So, Richard Naidu often says during International Women's Day, I don't know why I have to put on a lunch and shout everyone to a meal when half of 95% of the firm are female anyway. The men are actually the minority in the firm. They're mostly commercial lawyers, but we also practice in human rights. We do media freedom and great supporters of the rule of law. We also work in court and in the office, practicing in areas such as aircraft deals, accidental injuries, banking, commercial agreements, companies, foreign investment, immigration, tax, telecoms, tourism, insurance, newspaper, films, TV, and the internet. The list goes on. You would have seen pictures on the slideshow of all the members of our team. I think we just actually late last year also recruited another 4 more female lawyers who just came out of USP. Now, to work with us at Munro-Lees, of course, you need a law degree. But to be a lawyer, of course, you need a law degree, but we also employ other professionals such as accountants, librarians, IT people who also come with that qualification. Strong written and spoken English is something that is quite important. We often use that motto. We use simple language to talk about complicated things. Good general knowledge and lots of curiosity. Okay, it's always good to learn new things every day. Working long hours is something that just comes with the job. Like I said in the beginning, there's a lot that you will have to undertake as a legal professional, and one of it is time commitment. I'm actually in a room at the office that people say used to be Sir Robert Munro's, and apparently he passed away in that room. So when I'm working late into the night and it's like 9 p.m., that's when I bring out my rosary and my holy water, and then I start, just sprinkling about here and there. But, it's all part of the experience. And also, when you're satisfied with the work that you come up with, those long hours are really, they're nothing when you think about it. Ability to work with people, particularly with clients. Good sense of humor is always a good thing. And a commitment to produce your best work every time, I think, is important. What are some of the things you can do now? Go onto our website. Check out our website. There are a few things that you can look at there. There's a few tips about working at Munro-Lees, also about internships at Munro-Lees. We currently have 2 interns who are with us, who I think are doing PDLP right now. Work on your speaking and writing skills is always important. Be involved with the community and build your general knowledge. It's always good to, keep abreast of what's happening, in the media, what's happening around you in terms of the economy and also in politics as well, and learn about history, law, and the human rights. I think those are some of the things you can do now, given that some of you might be either in first year law or completing. So that's really all I have to share with you. I know we can't get any questions, but
Please from
yes, from the other side, you can always email us as we'll give our contact details as well. I'll give the floor now to Mr. Apted to share, or to the rest of you here if you have any questions for us.
Before the questions, I'd just like to say this. What Lily's been talking about is our firm, Munro Lees. Munro Lees is, and I'm not trying to put it on a pedestal, but it's quite different from the majority of law firms in Fiji and in your regional countries. The model, if you look around law firms in Fiji and the Pacific Islands, is for everybody to run their own little practice. So if you look at previous graduates of USP Law School who've been out in practice for 4 or 5 years, you'll see many of them now have their own firms. Because that's their idea of success. That's their model of where they want to be. And there's nothing wrong with that model. But it's one model. We operate according to a different model. Our model is a model of a big firm. It's modeled on big firms overseas. And we are not a big firm compared to the ones overseas, but we do try to emulate them. And the difference between a big firm and a small sole proprietor or 1 or 2 partner firms is that the big firms can specialize. Like if you take the example of a doctor, if you operate your own little practice in Nasinu or in Rewanga or in town by yourself, you will usually be a GP. You will do the broadest range of things, but you will not specialize in any area because you just don't have the time. Because you need to have a little knowledge of a lot of things. The same applies in the law. If you run your own practice, for example, in Samambula or Kinoya or Lavala Beach Estate or Suva, you will be required to do a huge variety of things. A lot of it will be basic things like basic conveyancing, basic family law, basic criminal. So your knowledge level or your skill level will be broad, but relatively low. When you go to a big firm, you get the opportunity to specialize. And if you were listening, the reason I'm talking about this is Lily was talking about our litigation team, our commercial team. She's paid by us to be a human rights public advocate person. That kind of breakdown is very, very unusual. There's only 3 or 4 other firms in Fiji who even have a breakdown. In our firm, we have two floors. On the 4th floor, most of us are litigators. We don't touch any commercial documents at all. If you ask me to draft a sale and purchase agreement, I would not even know where to start. Because in the 18 years I've been at Munro Lees, I have never been asked to do one. Because we specialize and I only do litigation. Even within litigation, even within our teams, we have specializations. I specialize in employment law. I used to specialize a lot more in sort of constitutional administrative law, but there's a lot less scope for that now. So that's out of the question. I specialize in IP. because I run our IP team. We have the biggest IP department in the South Pacific. So I look after them. My partner, Nick, has a, what do you call it? Also overlapping specialty in employment, but he does sort of environmental, he does other things. And, you know, like in a small country or like Fiji, it's good that we have complementary specialties because our clients are in conflict. For example, I do one bank's employment law or two banks' employment law, and he does another bank's employment law because one of mine and his are the biggest rivals. So we never talk about what's happening in his bank as opposed to my bank. Because as you can imagine, there's some competitive secrets in there. So we that's what you can do in a big firm. What else is there? And in a big firm, you can do more. Like there's no other firm in Fiji that pays somebody like Lily to do work for free for the community. That's Lily's job. But she's well paid by us to do it. It's free to whoever she's representing, but we pay her to do it. And that's part of being able to specialize. What else can I say? That's about it. So do you have any questions? Feel free. I mean, this is not just about us. This is your opportunity to talk about, you know, what you want to know about being a lawyer, not necessarily about Munro Leeds. Or just to let you know who I am, Lily told you about her background. I don't know whether you all know me.
They do, including everyone out there, probably.
I have many personalities.
He's wearing a different hat today.
This is my least known public hat. No, okay, who am I? I've been a lawyer since I graduated and was admitted to the bar in 1986. It seems like a long time ago to you, but to tell you the truth, and it probably shows in the way I act, I still think I'm 18. When you start work, time flies, you know, because every day there's something challenging. Every day you have a new problem, especially if you like your work, which I do. Where did I start work? I started work back a long, long time ago in government buildings at what is now the Attorney General's office. Back then, it was called the Crown Law Office. And I got my job through Imrana Jalal, who is a childhood friend of mine and who had started work there the year before me. And she also went to Auckland Law School. She's like a big sister to me. So she'd join the Attorney General's office. And in those days, the Attorney General's office was in the wing of government buildings on the NLTB side facing the Travelodge, facing the Holiday Inn. So if you're looking up at government buildings with your back to Holiday Inn, it was the one on the left, upstairs. The DPP's office, which was our arch enemy, was on the right-hand side. So in those days, there was no local law school. So those of us people who wanted to study law had to go to Australia, New Zealand, or England. Those were the three, or Scotland too, I think. There were the 3 or 4 places that were recognized, and that was all. So every year, and it was hard to get into law school. So every year, only 1 or 2, at most 3 people graduated and came on to the market. So if you came from a small town or one of the towns away from Suva and wanted to go back and live with your family, you joined a firm in Lautoka or wherever you were from. But if you were from Suva or you wanted to move to Suva, you applied to the government for a job. And so, like it was competitive, but not that competitive because every year there were only one or two of us.
Yeah.
So in my year, I was the only one who joined Attorney General's chambers or who even applied. The year before me was Imrana, Ratachoni Mandrai Wiwi, Ratafinau, Mara. They were the three the year before. On the other side, the year before was Nazat Shamim. The year before that was Graham Leung. These were the people who we were like rivals in government buildings. So from there, I worked there. Then 86, 87 was the first school. We had a lot of expats in our office when I joined. All the drafting was done by expatriates. The senior lawyers even litigators were expatriates. They all left. So those of us and half of our staff were Indian. And so when the coup happened, they too left. So we were like a skeleton of what was there before the coup. So we all had to like step up. And that's what gave me an impetus, or if you like, because then I did drafting because there was no drafter. From there, I went away for a scholarship. I came back, I did elections, and then I did arbitration in the Employment Ministry of Labor. And that sort of took me away from litigation and the law, because at Attorney General's chambers, I had gone that way. Only when I joined Munro Lees in 2000 did I come back to litigation. The point of all of that is only that the possibilities are broad. You don't necessarily have to stick with what you originally choose, and you won't know necessarily what you like until you get there. That was the point of the story. And then after I became successful, then I decided to become a celebrity. Being a celebrity is hard. No, I'm joking. So I'd be happy to, Lily and I would be very happy to answer any questions that you may have about a career as a lawyer, about law in Fiji, about Munro Lees.
I just need your opinion on this. Like in your days, there were no universities in Fiji or law. But now we have about what, 3?
Yes.
Yes, FNU as well.
My question is, what do you think would be the impact of producing so many lawyers in Fiji compared to the market for the demand? Not what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's economics. I mean, the rules of economics are the same, whether you're dealing with goods or with people. An excess of supply over demand, what does it result in? A reduction in price. The lesson, I mean, I don't mean, this is not intended as personal judgment either on the universities or on any of you students who are there now or have graduated or whatever. But personally, I think there are far too many law graduates being turned out for the small markets. And I'm not just talking about Fiji, I'm talking about all the Pacific Island countries. Because we just don't have that much growth. The inevitable result of that is the price for your skills goes down because there's a glut of supply. So that's looked at generally, right? So if you look at all lawyers coming out, you've got 200 or 300, I don't know how many coming out every year. There's only 200 jobs. So you can, if you are the buyer, the law firm, you can price low because somebody will be desperate enough It's a bargain.
Mhm.
It's a bargaining process. The only way, but that you have to remember is about the basic goods. And human beings are no different to goods, like I said. You know that a pair of glasses is a pair of glasses. The price of a normal pair of glasses is $100. The price of these glasses is much more than $100 because they are supposedly better than the $100 glasses. So the only way, the reality for you graduates, the only way to beat the economics is to take yourself out of that basic category. Because at the end of the day, the big firm or the firms and the government, the ones that have the money and are interested in quality, will pay more for the quality graduate. Just like I paid more for these glasses from Eyesight rather than get the cheap ones from the hospital, because this tells me it's better quality. So it's been a roundabout way of saying it. Yes, there's too many graduates, wages will be low generally. But the better graduates, the ones who work harder, the ones who have a better degree, the ones who are better prepared for the market, will always get the top dollar. And that's a reality that we face because every day, even people of my level, it's not just about graduates, because overall the prices will fall because there's going to be more and more and more law firms. Because as I said, the people coming in leave to start their own. So it's not just the graduate market, it's the whole legal market. And it's grown over the past 15 years. A lot of my clients now go somewhere else, to law firms that didn't exist when I had them. And they've gone for various reasons. Like they've gone because management changed in the company and they know the other person better and trust them better, or the person that was dealing with their work with us has gone to set up on their own. So they've taken the client. It's something we don't like, but it's life. So it's something we also face. But our response has to be the same as the graduate's response, which is you have to try harder to offer something worth more. You know, as the price falls, generally you offer a better product, a premium product, for which somebody in the market is willing to pay more.
I have a question in regards to what you were just talking about. So, in your opinion, or both of you, what
It's okay, you don't have to include her. I'm the
Yeah,
boss.
yeah. He is the boss. So just directed at him.
what area of law do you think we could specialize in that is in demand that could get us out of that basic level?
Well, it's hard to say. It's very hard to predict anything. I can tell you something today, it won't be true next year. That's life, right? You have to look, and it's not about when you're young, younger than me, when you're younger than me, you are hopeful, right? And you're not experienced, you don't have much life experience. So it's easy to think that everything is possible. When you've got a couple more years, you realize that what you have to do with your life, your career or your work should match your personality, your commitments, the things you like, things that fit in with your life ambition, your family ambition. It's not just, the ideal is not always suited to you. So self-realization is one of the important things for you to look at. You know, you've got to get a bit realistic about what you choose. You look at who you are, what you can really do, honestly, what you really like before you start committing. And sometimes that's not possible. And yes, that you've got time to change. But it helps if you're honest from the beginning. So you don't sort of say, if I say to you, the future is in commercial law. Don't start dreaming and planning to be a commercial lawyer if money bores you and your heart is in helping poor people or individual people or women or, you know, whatever you like to do. So you've got to make sure that what you choose fits with your personality and your goals. And, you know, so you can't say, I want to be a litigator because I watch LA Law, whatever, Law and Order, whatever the shows are now. I don't even watch television anymore.
Boston Legal.
Suits. Okay, Suits. If you watch Boston Legal,
I know. So 90s.
Suits. If you want to be like Suits, if you don't have the kind of personality that can put up with conflict, because litigation is all about conflict. It's being able to fight with people, being able to, you know, like manage your client's conflict. Being a litigator is also requires a great deal of emotional intelligence. If you don't have emotional intelligence, if you are not really interested in other people or watching them and working out who they are and what they're doing, then it's not the job for, well, it's not the job for you if you want to be successful at it. Because a litigator is somebody who can read situations and people and can move quickly for their client's advantage. You know, they can put the witness on the stand, they can read the witness, they know what question to ask, how to trap the witness. These are all skills that not everybody has. You've also got to be able to read the documents and say, I know what they were thinking. I know what they're going to do next. I'll go and block them before they even try. That's the skill of a good litigator. If that's not the kind of person you are, fine, be a litigator, but don't expect yourself to be a really good litigator or a highly paid litigator. Then you would focus more on conveyancing or, you know, like documents or other areas of law. And there's also government, you know, government is different. No, I mean, in terms of they do policy work, you can go to foreign affairs, you can go to public service commission. Any other questions?
In regards to the firm, for upcoming graduates who are willing to, who want to actually join the firm, if any, or do you have specific criteria that we're supposed to meet in order to be able to?
Okay, what happens, okay, we're not like government in that the private sector, I mean, not just us, private sector is not like government. We don't have a set number of positions and then there's a vacancy, then you fill it, and that you have to wait till there's a vacancy before, you know, like there's no fixed structure. Private businesses are about supply and demand. You're busy this year, yes, you're going to have a vacancy. You're not busy this year, wawa manda. Because that's, you have, it's all about the bina at the end of the day. So with us though, and this is the difference, I think, with a big firm from a small firm. With a big firm, you see, we have a brand, Munro Leeds. It existed before us, and we have to make sure that it exists after us. Which means that more than the smaller firms, we have to make sure we keep taking people in for long-term survival of the firm, so that when we, the partners, die, there are people there to die or retire. There are people there to carry on. So to come back to you. So for us, it's not necessarily good year, bad year. We generally take people if we have space. And the space is in terms of supervision. It's about need. Like if a partner, because we don't bring you in and just let you go. Mondelez differs from all the other firms, and it's very frustrating for a lot of our people who leave, because we, the partners, won't let you do anything for 5 years unless you're really good. Like, so you will constantly, whatever, if this is your file, we'll give you a file. Sometimes you don't even give you a file. But even if we give you a file, whatever you do has to be sent to the partner for approval before it goes. We are very, very micromanaging. And that a lot of people don't like that. You will be told your work is rubbish. If you're lucky, you might get an F before it.
Yeah.
But you know, like it's not the firm if you have a big ego, it's not the firm if you're sensitive. Because it's not about you. It's always about the client and the brand. Going back to your question, if you were interested in joining us, I don't want to put you off. We have, we do take 2 or 3 interns every year. And many of the people, of the graduates who join us, come through the internship way, because then a partner will have seen that graduate and become interested in working with the graduate. Because of the nature of how we work, it's important that there's empathy or between partner and team member. Yeah. So we do that. Sometimes, you know, we don't have enough, we advertise. And so we've also taken people who've responded to advertisements who have not interned with us. So both ways. But if you're really interested, the way is to intern, because also when you intern, it gives you an idea if it's for you or not, because it might be. You know, like it's like a look-see with no obligation. Plus, you get to dress up, come to a nice office, walk in high heels, which some of our male staff do sometimes.
Yes.
We're very liberal. We have all kinds of
All
staff.
kinds. Yeah.
I wanted to know more about human rights and environmental law. Is there a big scope in Fiji at the moment? Because I'm not hearing all that it's big, it's all commercial and all those stuff. I just wanted to know more about human rights and environmental.
Okay, what do you want to know? What's your question?
Like, I want to go in that field.
It always sounds good. Let me say that.
Mm.
I was trying to hint at that. When you're a student, those noble areas are always very attractive. Because while we're young, we're idealistic. Because somebody else is paying your fees and buying your roti. When you have to start paying your own rent and buying your own FMF roti flour and rice, your priorities may change because you'll be driven by the market, what's available. So your question is correct. Is there a lot of scope for it? That's the right question. In the general market, not really. Okay? Human rights, come on. Before 2006, there was a lot more human rights litigation and work. There isn't anymore. because the human rights laws are a lot weaker. That's the honest truth. And human rights institutions are not as active on behalf of the public. So the amount, the volume of human rights work is, I would say, 10% of what it used to be before 2006. That's the truth. You know, like in the old days, before 2006, you had people taking test cases on behalf of cleaners or, you know, like disaffected or disadvantaged members of society. Now you hardly get any of that. When was the last time you read about any of that in the newspaper? Or if you read the newspaper, on television or on Facebook?
It should be cultural location.
Tilly Martin.
Yeah.
Yes, there's Tilly Martin there. There's nothing like that anymore.
No.
There's nothing like that anymore. So human rights is very little. There's no money to be made in it. We pay Lily as part of her job, and we do it ourselves sometimes, defend the human rights of some people who come to us. But we don't go out to look for it. You know, so Richard and them did, a couple of years ago, they did the students who were disqualified from an exam in Lambasa. We represented them for free because we thought that they'd been treated unjustly. So we do some of that kind of work. So there's very little. Environmental, Nick Barnes, the other partner from litigation, he does a bit of environmental. He's very interested in it. So he does, he has a bit of scope there. He does the building side, you know, like the EIAs and all of that, the development end. He also has done, you know, whenever we get environmental litigation, it goes to him because that's his specialty. But it's not, to be honest, a huge thing in this country. When you look around, people don't care. We have various laws, but nobody cares. Any other? You had a question?
This question in terms of the legal services that you mentioned. Is it run heavily with the legal aid commission or gives out from the legal commission to
No, we have nothing to do with legal aid commission.
Yeah.
They would never.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah.
Not come to us.
No.
No. Ours has a different focus to legal aid. Legal aid is there to help people who can't afford it. We help people who have been treated unjustly. So we would not do free work for your buying of your housing authority, whatever. That's for legal aid or whoever to do. But if legal aid, if you were treated badly by the police and legal aid wouldn't help you, and we think you deserve help, then we will help you. So, because we're not looking for a lot of work, we're not looking to do, we're not legal aid.
No.
And we're not looking to take their place or compete with them. They have a good function, that's their job. We take the hard ones where people can't get assistance anywhere else. Because otherwise she'd be
overrun. I mean, it would be like opening up the floodgates, yeah.
Like, we're not a legal aid. We're more of a, yes, like we pick our battles.
Choose your own battle.
Yes. Yes. Or the one that's very, very unjust situations where if we didn't come and help, they'd be lost.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So to be an internet non-release, we have to be in our final year of study?
At
Or
least
are
2
we-
years.
Yeah, from second year, you can apply. It's competitive. It is competitive, as it should be, because we want the better students.
There are 4 slots as well, 4 blocks of internship. So there's one on right now that goes on for a month from April to the end of May. The next one is from June to early August. So, I think it's also dependent on which block you apply for, because I think the second intake is for students from the Northern Hemisphere. We get students from
The
the US,
or whatever.
you know.
Because they want to go overseas for their internship.
Yeah. And then the third and the last block are normally USP graduates.
And we prefer USB graduates because I'm USP's lawyer.
Yeah.
So it's only fair. Any other questions?
I just want to share something. Just relate back to what you said. What really drives us to become a lawyer? I'm old. I'm 51 now.
That's not old.
You're like
You're young. You're younger than me, and I'm young.
Actually, I've been in the construction industry for all of my life, both in the building and civil. I got a diploma from my For the last 10 years, I've been working in the mining industry, managing exploration projects. Then we deal a lot with rural people. And this is where I start to realize my capability. Be able to communicate with the resource owners, deal with their problems, be able to influence them as well. One thing I realized that I'm lacking in knowledge, particularly law. And this is what drives me. Because when it comes to law questions, I'm crippled. I don't know how to answer. And that's what drives me to come and study law in a proper way. So at this stage, it's not really to become money. It goes back to serving the community. Because one thing I start to realize when we grow old, the community looks up at us for advice, for guidance. Especially for me, in my particular village where I come from, in my town. We own Munasab Dam. Most of the place under Lake today. And you should. This is what drives me to go and know law more. I really appreciate the session today because it helps you, the young people, to know each other. Sometimes you come like this. I want to specialize in commercial law. No. Journalists just said it right. Time change. Tomorrow is just another day. So I really appreciate today's session because to me, I just want to figure out how I'm going to fit in into this thing. After this,
All right. All right. We're done.
We're done
There's no
for
further
time.
questions. Take this time on behalf of the university and Ms. Sawa for your time to come and share with us your experiences and the opportunities and graduate attributes with Monolith. We can all put our hands together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vinaka.
Thank you for having
That's
us.
a wrap.
Thank you.
Penny has gone on a bit of a
Are you still here?
He's still around.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having us.
No, don't worry about it. Shit happens.
Thank you, Mr. Afton.
Thank you.
Village bylaws consultation.
All right.
How are you?
Good, good.
Are you guys
Leo. Bylaw
Okay.
Yes, no,
Okay.
just one. Okay.
Yeah, we're finished.
Thank you very much.
They've shoved it for now, I think, because of the.
Lily, tamba, tamba, tamba.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, we should have one more.
Maybe you two should sit, stand in the middle because we're in.
No, that's
You can
fine.
stand in the
Just
middle,
head down,
actually.
please. That's all body.
Thank you.
Wait, we just take one for our. If Penny just take this. Yeah, that's actually wait. This is for the website. Okay, come here, yeah, straight on.
You can take the photo.
Wow, it's wide angle.
Can I go down?
Yeah, no, it depends on how far she's going to, how low she's gonna go.
Why did it?
Penny, I'm breathing in.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is where we got off.
They've just, they've shoved it for the moment. Yeah, because of the negative reaction from the. Oh, yeah, they probably bring it up there. You know what it's like. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
The online.
Did you put a USB? No, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's stored on the.
Thank you so much for coming. I hope that was, and yeah, like I said, it was all streamed and
I mean, you know, it's a good opportunity for the students access
Yes,
one-on-one.
that's right.
Especially from John, like we can do this in
Yeah, that's true.
you know, he's the one with the.
And we're so happy to have you here, to have all of you here.
Benny, how far did you go?
I'll go to
Oh, really?
walk back. I'll take you just in.
Oh,
we'll just take the shortcut
go
back
the
here.
shortcut.
Yeah.
So,
And do you invite a lot of people? Like,
Yes, we do. Everyone, like I started with doing this.
hi.
So yeah, we have a voting we had 18 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so it's every month.
Yeah.
Like, at least 2 years.
So this is specifically like, you know, for just royal, anyone really come?
Anyone could come.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think today was just a lot of students that were here.
Yeah.
Plus whoever was doing mostly from.
Well, I hope they really.
Oh, I'm sure
So,
they.
so will we be able to access the video?
If it was recorded, I'll probably send that through. Yeah. I'll ask the college. Thank you so